Hey everybody, welcome to my thoughts. This is the channel where I'm going to be talking about anything I'm thinking of. That can include a video game that just came out, my VR headset, Donald Trump's chin, a, a book I just read, anything I want to talk about. It is currently August 17th of 2025, 7:40 p.m. in I believe Eastern time. Um for today's topic, I first want to talk about Donald Trump for a minute. More specifically, politics, I guess. Or I guess that's not more specifically. I guess that's more nuanced. That's not the point. I want to talk about politics for a minute because for my school, which for those who don't know, I'm currently a freshman in high school at the moment. Scary. Which before I get into that, the political stuff, I do want to talk about me being a freshman for a minute. So I guess that's the first topic of the day. Being a freshman from so far isn't bad. It isn't really scary. It's not really anything new. And I actively enjoy it. I've made a couple new friends that I truly consider close friends, close individuals. I truly think I have a good friend group. Well, not group, but, a good people I talk to every now and then. And right now, there's no genuine drama I'm a part of, which is shocking. Then again, usually the drama starts kind of where I'm a part of it. It's kind of around quarter three, quarter four-ish. It's when the drama that I'm a part of kind of starts, maybe quarter two. So quarter one's kind of like that settle-in period. Quarter two is where you're finally getting a little familiar with your environment. Quarter three is where you're just like locked in. You're like, okay, I know the place like the back of my hand. Quarter four, that's like the drunk period. Like you act up, you go wild, or you're the sober, which is where you're just going through the motions, like let's just get this over with, stuff like that. And again, using the term drunk and sober very loosely here, like some people who may drink are not actually drinking, but what I'm saying is that they are doing things, they're having parties, they're going wild, they're doing stuff, and that doesn't make it better. I guess I should come up with better terms, but point is, being a freshman for me personally is not that different than how I was in middle school, except for a lot of the negative parts. A lot of the negative parts have changed because since I knew a lot of people who were in the same grade as me, now that I have grades that are older than me, I don't know any of them and I get along with them a lot more. So far, I'm having a good time as a freshman. And I highly recommend going to high school so far. Anyway, back to the political thing. I am joining a student newspaper, or student pub is what our school calls it. And what it is you write articles and then you publish them on this website that the school runs. And the first article we're uploading, or at least that I am, is about political students and how politics have shaped their life, their mindset, who they are as people, stuff like that. And I would say it's going decent. I've got the first article done. Or no, not the first article. First paragraph. Second paragraph, currently working on. I think I'm almost done. Third paragraph, still need to work on. And I haven't even started on the third paragraph now that I think about it. What sucks, though, is that I might need to do, or I might have to I have to interview someone who supports Trump. I know. Why? But the thing is, in my interview, I specifically mentioned Trump a little bit. Now, since this is a feature piece, which if you don't know, in journalism, feature is, like how to cook. What? I guess a feature would be kind of like those feel-good stories, like stuff that isn't like real news, but like like a daughter and son are at the park, stuff like that, or a guy or a woman who finds a dog on the street and adopts it, like those type of stories. And somehow political students is a feature, although it's a bit more opinionated in my opinion, but it's whatever. Anyway, so long story short, I might have, because I've interviewed two people so far who disapproved of Trump, and I've mentioned they both disapprove of Trump. So now I gotta find at least one person who does support Trump to some degree, which is fucking difficult. Like, I know that sounds weird, but a kid my age doesn't support Trump because for some godforsaken reason, trauma has allowed Trump to be some of the main sources of their trauma. I'm not joking. I know a chick, or is it a chick? I think it's a chick. Not pronouns are a whole thing here. I think they're a chick, but they may be non-binary. I know they're not trans. They might be non-binary, but I'm gonna just say they are a girl at the moment. So this female, she what were we talking about? Yeah. I don't know how I blacked out. Anyway, so this chick, she full on like talks about how her family and and how, oh my god, I should have interviewed her. That's not relevant. Anyway, point is, her political view on Trump is due to trauma because of her parents. And so, for some people, it's trauma. And others, it's just because of what they read on the internet, what they seen of the videos. And although I think a lot of people kind of over-exaggerate some of these claims, because, again, you got to remember, the news tends to over-exaggerate or sway people to one side or the other. I still believe he's not a very good person, and I do believe, he shouldn't be president. To be fair, that's mainly just more because of I want a new president more than who he is. Like, I barely know much about Trump. All I just know is, like, surface level things. So my disapproval of Trump is really just more because of who I've been around, what I'm used to, what I'm familiar with, and, So, yeah. So I gotta find one person who supports Trump, and they have to be a student, and that sucks. I think so. I think I'm not going to, though. I think I'm just gonna focus on the two people I've already interviewed. And although my teacher of student pub says it's only fair, I think he also mentions I don't really have to. I might talk to him about it, like, hey, can I not? Because I can't find anyone, and the deadline is due in, like, at this point, almost 2 days for, like, the rough draft. And he's like, yeah, I'm assuming he's going to be like, oh, yeah, you don't really need to worry about that. Because the thing is, with these feature stories, it's not really about Trump himself. It's about how politics in general has shaped their life. But the reason that I have to do Trump, that Trump is a part of it in the first place, is because I brought him up. Because I used him as an example. And if I don't use him as an example, I could possibly get away with it. But it's kind of hard since he's our president. So if you want to talk about politics, you kind of have to talk about him. Anyway, that's enough of the first topic. The next topic is about my jacket. I want to tell a bit of a story on how my ex has my jacket. So, I was dating this girl. We'll call her ZB. ZB and I were dating on and off for 6 months. And I think around when we first got back together, if not slightly before that, I think it was either the breakup before our final breakup or a few weeks before that. I can't remember, but at some point, she really liked my jacket. And I said I had another one if she wanted to have it. Oh, wait, I remember it now. I gave her a jacket while she was at my house. And so, anyway, she has my jacket, and eventually we break up, or she breaks up with me on Valentine's Day. Oh, the story gets so much worse with that breakup, but I'm not going to go into that. I think I've talked about it. That, and if I haven't, then that's a story for a whole other day. Anywho, I seen her wear my jacket after a breakup. Not much, but sometimes. And sometimes I'd ask her, hey, or I wanted to ask her, hey, can you give me back my jacket, please? Because we were kind of friends for a little while until eventually I kind of ruined our friendship by telling people the truth. And I'm not going to go into it, but eventually ZB, I kind of broke ZB's trust a little bit. And I don't really regret it. She wasn't really trustworthy. Then again, well, I can't really say much because I just said I did something that broke that trust, but she also broke mine. I'm not going to try and act like what I did was right. It wasn't, but I did what I did. And although there is something I could do about it, I don't want to do it if I'm not genuine about it, you know? I don't think you should apologize for something if you're not truly genuine about it. Because there's no meaning. Blank words. And usually a lot of things are better if they are genuine. Sometimes they're not, but for the most part, they are. But the reason I'm bringing up this story is because just about a few days ago, like right before school got out, for like 2, maybe 3 days in a row at school, I seen her either in the cafeteria or in the hallway, or just going up or down some stairs that I'm going up or down. And I seen her wear my jacket. And I'm like, that motherfucker, you know? Because after all these months, after all the drama we've been through, she still chooses to wear my fucking jacket, you know? To be fair, I never asked her for it back, so this one's on me, but still. Just wanted to tell that story for some reason. Oh, I forgot to do this. I went to see The Bad Guys 2 a few weeks ago. Like, I think it was last week when I saw it. It was like, when was this? It was like last Friday, I think. Or no, it was last Sunday. It was last Sunday I seen this film. I seen the movie in theaters. It was not at a, it was sort of at a local theater. Where the theater is, it's not my local theater, but I call it my local theater because it's in my neighboring town. It's the only theater I really go to besides a different one, but even then that's a rare occasion. But anyway, long story short, I go to this movie with a couple friends of mine and their parent, and I seen The Bad Guys 2. I'm not going to spoil anything, but or actually, correction, I might spoil some things. I'm going to spoil things. Yeah, I take that back. I'm going to be spoiling The Bad Guys 2 for y'all. First off, I love the movie. For the people who say they don't like it, I think they were looking at it like it was a continuation of the first emotionally. I'm not sure how they put it. When I saw the marketing, I was confused of what they were trying to do. Not saying the marketing was bad. I'm just saying I didn't really understand the story. With a lot of films where you see the actual story, this one was really good at not actually of showing but not telling. You didn't know what was going on, and this was one of the first films in a while where I was genuinely surprised. Like, for example, that whole space thing, that's related to Marmalade from the last movie. Sorry. That, when Wolf and the gang first steal the car, that was showing of one of their heists back when Webbs was a rookie. And they were showing that because later in the film, Wolf sees that same man he stole from, like later in the movie while he's trying to steal a watch. And it's just, the film has great build-up. The time is, my really only complaint is that I wish it was a little bit slower. Like, just fleshed out a little bit more of some of the dynamics, but I think overall it used its time extremely well. The characters were done extremely well. They may have not been their exact selves from the first film, but that's alright. I think a film is allowed to change the character as time goes on. Like, because again, they're naturally not going to be the same people all the time. Sometimes they would be, but sometimes, depending on the circumstance, they may change a little bit, you know? I don't know. I really like the movie. I loved it. Wolf and Diane, their kissing was awesome. But, you know, I wish we got more of their dynamic. It was something I think from the first film it was lacking too. It was just more of that dynamic. Or actually, no, the first film had a lot of that, so I'm actually going to say the sequel lacks the dynamic quite a bit. But there are moments where it's just awesome. Not just their dynamic, but other characters' dynamics. Like, I love Snake and Doom. I think Doom is a really good character. If they do make a third film, which they're probably going to do. I mean, it's DreamWorks, for Christ's sakes. I think what they're going to do is I hope they bring back Doom in some capacity. I mean, similar to how they brought back Marmalade, kind of bring him off as like a small character to kind of bring the plot forward, or to help out the protagonist in some way, or have a hand and, you know, just try to bring back Doom in some way, because I really loved her character, especially her dynamic with Snake. I think they had great, maybe not comedic chemistry. Then again, they were extremely funny together, but also great chemistry in general. I do wish we got more of them genuinely interacting, not flirting, but just more interactions of them just being like, oh really, what's your interest? Like, maybe not what's your interest, but like just talking, you know, like how you and a friend would talk, you know, talking about things you like, disagree with, kind of similar to Wolf and Diane's dynamic, where you get that. But then again, I understand what they're trying to do. That's not their dynamic. They're flirty, overtly flirty. So yeah, I really liked the movie. I loved it. I actually would say it's better than the first one. And I guess, and a good way to put it is I believe this is from the video Bacon Guy, or Opinionated Bacon Guy. I think what he said was the first film, the final act doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And in the first film, spoilers for the first film, by the way, Marmalade has this meteorite that can mind control hamsters. Or guinea pigs. Huh? And then the meteorite gets switched. And what I mean by that is, you're at Marmalade's house, and Snake works with Marmalade. He decides to betray him, and so the meteorite, the ones the bad guys steal, is actually the lamp. And so throughout that whole thing, it's like, how is Marmalade controlling the meteorite if he doesn't even have the real meteorite, you know? It's one of those things that I'm like, I think if it was planned better and executed better, it would have made sense, but it's just weird and it doesn't fully make sense. The twist villain also just doesn't work that well. I don't think Marmalade's a bad villain by any means necessary. I just think, you know, him being a twist villain just was not really set up well, but also painfully obvious. I think in the second film they use his character a lot better. You know, just kind of like that. I feel like if they sort of set him up as the villain from the very beginning, it would have been a little bit better. But then again, I don't mind the twist angle. I don't think it ruins the film by any means. So I'm actually just going to go my way and say, you don't need to change that. Anyway, so point is, the Bad Guys 2, it makes more sense, surprisingly. The plan makes sense. The villain is also just better. I love Kitty Cat. Or Kitty. She's very fun, great, maybe a little forgettable, but she's great. Overall, my opinion on it, similar to how I feel about Joker 2, which I don't know if I talked about on this channel, but as what I remember watching Joker 2, I really liked it. I would say they're good as they're good sequels in some degree. Joker 2 I think is good at being a sort of original film, but just tied in with the first film a little bit. Like, let's say the first Joker movie never existed and you watched the second film. I think it would have been fine on its own. Like, it wouldn't be a great movie, but it'd be fine. Better received than the first film, if the first film never existed. I don't think my point makes sense, but what I'm trying to get at is that I really like Joker 2, and I feel like Joker 2 is a better. It's just a good movie. Not a good sequel, but a good film in general. The Bad Guys 2 is a really great movie and a really great sequel that continues to build off of the original film. Actually, I guess making a point about Joker 2 wasn't really wise because I have thoughts on that. Point is, Bad Guys 2, great movie. Loved it, and I would love to talk more about it in the future. I think I got two more topics I would like to talk about in this video today before I cut off. The first topic was, why am I dressed up like this? I mentioned the jacket earlier. Another reason I brought the jacket is because this jacket I only put on today specifically for the video. Because the outfit I wore to Michigan, or from Michigan, because throughout the weekend I was in Michigan for my dad's bachelor party, it got dirty because of me being a pig and accidentally dropping some ketchup sauce on my shirt. So I'm wearing this jacket because it's in the dirty clothes basket. So, yeah. The last topic I want to talk about today is this book. It is called Not That You Asked by Andrew A. Rooney. For those who don't know, Andrew A. Rooney is the author of A Few Minutes. He's also, he was a NBC reporter. Here, let me see. I know he was a television guy, but I forget what he actually did. He created 60 Minutes or something. If you don't know what 60 Minutes is, it's like these interviews and essays and stuff for 60 Minutes or something. I'm not sure how to describe it, but 60 Minutes was a very popular series back in the day. I think it still is now. And he's also written stuff like And More, Piece of My Mind, Word for Word. And then he's also written for many newspaper articles. But essentially, he was a huge deal back in the 80s, I think. Or late 70s. Late 60s, I think. Late 70s, maybe further. He was just a huge deal. And I got this book at a rummage sale at my church for free called Not That You Asked. And it's just about some of his mindset, what he believed, what he thought of, stuff like that. It is becoming one of my personal favorite books. I really like it so far. And the thing is, with me, I normally read the books in order. I didn't do that here. The way it's styled, here, let me pull up this. I don't know if you could see. Probably can't. But if you can't really tell, if you can't tell, it's put in a chunk for a page or two, and then if you look closely, it ends after just one single page, or maybe three at max. But there's different sections, here, the privacy of a public room or a public person, and then a dose of double talk, separate chapters. I've been reading them out of order by how I want to read them. I would read A Time to Cast Away Stones, which would be page 20, page 123, and then I'll go read Making a Killing, which would be page 92, or just something like that. And it's really good to read out of order. If you read it in order, you're probably not going to like it. But if you read it, the sections you want to read, you're probably going to enjoy it a lot more. I personally love the book. And I really enjoy it so far. And I've read almost all of it. And I only got it a couple weeks ago. Well, that's all I got for today. I'll probably have more topics to talk about in the future. But until then, I'm Count Adawan. Thank you for listening to my thoughts. Have a great day.